In the timeless expanse of ancient Greece, where the gods would frequently mingle with mortals, the majestic Zeus found his gaze drawn to a particular earthly beauty named Semele. She, a mortal from Thebes, held an allure that captivated the king of the gods. Disguised in the form of a handsome stranger, Zeus approached her in the vibrant town, a place teeming with mortal life, yet removed from the divine dramas of Olympus. His heart, a vast ocean of emotions, resonated with her human warmth and curiosity. As their paths intertwined, Zeus, deeply enamored, felt compelled to reveal his divine essence to Semele, making a promise to fulfill her wishes as proof of his affection. The skies above were clear, and an air of mystical anticipation surrounded them. Semele, unaware of the weight such promises carried in the realm of the divine, asked for a glimpse of Zeus's true godly form, a request born from innocent wonder and a desire to fully know the god who had enchanted her heart. Unbeknownst to the pair, Hera, Zeus's wife and the queen of the gods, had been watching with growing jealousy. Known for her vengeful nature, Hera devised a plan to manipulate Semele's innocent longing for truth. Whispering through thoughts such as ethereal winds, she cunningly sowed seeds of doubt, convincing Semele that no mortal could truly be loved by a god unless she saw him unveiled. Semele's curiosity, thus nurtured by Hera's deceit, led her to insist on her dangerous request. Caught in the binds of his promise, Zeus faced a choice that weighed heavy with the potential for tragedy. Despite his reluctance, he donned his true form, a magnificent being of thunder and lightning. The skies exploded in a fury of divine energy, a sight too potent for mortal eyes to bear. The world seemed to hold its breath in that brief, stunning moment. As the brilliance of his godhood engulfed her, Semele was consumed by the very power she had wished to witness. Yet, in the despair of this loss, a glimmer of hope remained. Zeus acted swiftly, for not all was lost with Semele's tragic end. His focus turned to the child she had carried within her, a newborn destined for greatness. With divine prowess, he rescued the unborn Dionysus, ensuring his survival by an extraordinary act of transformation and preservation. He tenderly sewn the infant into his own thigh, an act both miraculous and symbolic, allowing the child to gestate within his divine form until the time was ripe for birth. Gestation within Zeus suited Dionysus well, for it gave him the foundation imbued with both mortal blood and divine essence. Time flowed differently in the realm of gods. What seemed like mere moments to the divine felt eternal to mortals. There, within the comforting confines of his father's form, amidst swirling energies of godly nature, Dionysus grew and developed, unperturbed by the chaos of the world that had been left behind. Finally, the moment arrived, and from Zeus's thigh, Dionysus was born anew, a being imbued with the spirited duality of both man and god. Golden effulgence emanated from the divine infant swaddled in a resplendent light, marking his entrance into the world. His arrival was celebrated by the ethereal radiance of a divine dusk that blanketed Mount Olympus, signaling the beginning of his extraordinary journey. Aware of the precariousness surrounding Dionysus, Zeus entrusted the infant to Hermes, the swift-footed messenger of the gods. Tasked with ensuring the child's safety, Hermes was to take Dionysus away from the envy and wrath lurking in the shadows of Olympus. With care and speed, Hermes embarked on his mission to protect the young god, who, although born from divine chaos, was destined to bring joy and revelry to the world. Thus, as the twilight's warm glow enveloped the mountain peaks and eternity's summer lingered, Dionysus's gentle journey into the realm of gods and mortals began. In the warm embrace of the mythic realm, a tale of nurturing unfolds as Hermes, the swift divine messenger, carries the newborn Dionysus from Mount Olympus to Boeotia. The journey is brief yet significant, for Hermes bears a precious bundle in his arms, a child who carries the essence of both mortal and divine within him. As the sun casts vibrant patterns upon the earth, signifying a new beginning, Hermes arrives at the palace of Queen Ino and King Athamas. It is here, in the tranquility of Boeotia, that Dionysus is to find a sanctuary, far from the jealous gaze of Hera. Queen Ino, the sister of the ill-fated Semele, receives the infant with tender warmth. She sees in Dionysus not just her nephew but a being of divine promise. Driven by love and devotion, Ino agrees to raise Dionysus as her own child, enfolding him in maternal care. Her husband, King Athamas, shares in this promise, welcoming the child into their royal household. In the bustling palace halls, the laughter and cries of young Dionysus echo as he grows amidst the harmony of his newfound family. Under Ino's nurturing gaze, Dionysus is treated as royalty. He is taught the ways of courtly life, learning manners befitting a prince and the wisdom of the ages. Each lesson is an embrace of culture and civility, instilling in him the knowledge of both human etiquette and the subtle undercurrents of his divine heritage. Yet, it is not all solemn instruction. Dionysus's days brim with play and exploration, for the world is his enchanting garden, filled with mysteries waiting to be unveiled. As Dionysus matures, signs of his divine nature begin to reveal themselves, like small ripples on the surface of a serene pond. Miraculous events occur in his wake, trailing him like gentle whispers of the supernatural. Flowers bloom with greater vigor in his presence, and the air shimmers with a peculiar light, unnoticed by most yet felt in the hearts of those who encounter him. To those around him, Dionysus is both a child and an enigma, embodying the very essence of wonder and awe. Within the fabric of this peaceful existence, however, a subtle tension weaves its way through, the lingering shadow of Hera's suspicion. The Queen of the Gods, ever watchful, grows wary of the unusual occurrences in the royal household of Boeotia. Her mind, fueled by jealousy, cannot ignore the whispers carried on the winds about the miraculous child. Her unease is like a distant storm, promising disruption to the tranquility that Dionysus has found. In her wrathful cunning, Hera devises a course of retribution, casting a shadow over the kingdom. Her vengeance takes shape as she sends a madness upon King Athamas, a turmoil that grips the once harmonious region. Under the guise of divine consequence, Athamas is driven to erratic behavior, spreading chaos where serenity once reigned. The kingdom falters, caught in a tempest not of their making. Despite the turmoil that ensues, Dionysus' early years are filled with moments of joy and mysterious awe. His presence remains a beacon in the midst of chaos, his laughter a reminder of the harmony and delight of childhood. In these unsteady times, Ino holds her adopted son closer, determined to protect him from the malevolent forces at play. The gardens of the palace, vibrant and welcoming, serve as his sanctuary, where the miraculous continues to unfold with a simplicity that defies explanation. Through every challenge and uncertainty, Dionysus stands on the threshold of greater adventures, untouched by the divine discord that surrounds him. As the chapter of his early childhood comes to a close, Dionysus's path leads him beyond the palace gardens, out into the vast expanse of the world where his influence is destined to grow. As the shadows of Hera's jealousy continued to loom over Dionysus's early life, Hermes, the swift messenger of the gods, knew that the young god needed to be kept away from her wrath. Guided by Zeus's desire to protect his son, Hermes gently carried Dionysus away from the turmoil that enveloped Boeotia. Their journey was a serene one, filled with the quiet whispers of the wind as they traversed the ancient landscapes of Greece. Embarking on this odyssey, Dionysus began to explore the far-reaching corners of distant lands. Each new culture he encountered was a lesson in human emotion and the vibrancy of life. He traveled through the mountains and valleys, observing the diverse customs and traditions of the people he met. Dionysus was eager to learn, not just the ways of the people, but the lands themselves, feeling the heartbeat of the earth beneath his feet. It was during these travels that Dionysus encountered Semele, a wise and jovial satyr known for his mirthful laughter and deep understanding of the world. Semele, with his affinity for the earthy pleasures and profound wisdom, became both mentor and companion to the young god. The satyr's presence was comforting, his joyful spirit contagious. Together, they wandered through the lush vineyards of Thrace, their footsteps cushioned by the fertile soil that promised abundance. Semele was the one to introduce Dionysus to the enchanting magic of wine and revelry. In the cool shade of the vineyards, Dionysus discovered the art of winemaking. He marveled at how the humble grape, with time and care, transformed into a drink that brought joy and liberation to those who partook of it. Semele taught him that wine was not just a drink, but a release, a means for humans to explore both the pleasures and depths of their souls. This newfound knowledge filled Dionysus with a gentle joy, a keenness to share the gift of wine with others. As Dionysus continued his travels, he witnessed the myriad ways in which human passions manifested. He saw how wine could bring people together in joyous celebration, breaking down barriers that in sober times seemed insurmountable. Yet he also observed how these passions could lead to destruction when not tempered. These experiences deepened his understanding of his own nature, both divine and human, and his influence over passion, balance, and joy. Dionysus became more than a wanderer. He was a cultivator in every sense. With a quiet yet profound determination, he spread the cultivation of vines wherever he went. The lands he touched blossomed with vineyards, and the ancient art of winemaking began to flourish in his wake. People across Greece began to take notice, and his following grew as mortals embraced the teachings of the wandering god. In time, Dionysus gained followers who celebrated his presence with fervent devotion. They were drawn to his teachings, captivated by the sense of freedom and joy they promised. These followers, moved by the divine nature of wine and revelry, welcomed Dionysus as their guide, a beacon of hope in times of darkness and hardship. Through him, they found release and transformation, echoing the duality of human nature itself. The gentle steps of Dionysus, accompanied by the wisdom of Semele, painted a vivid tapestry of discovery and enlightenment across the lands. The journey marked a significant chapter in his life, sowing the seeds for a broader acceptance of his divine role. In witnessing and influencing the worlds of gods and men, Dionysus began to embrace his part as an influencer of passion and joy. Thus, Dionysus's travels served as the foundation for his evolving identity as the god of wine, revelation, and ecstatic celebration. As he and Semele continued their exploration, the bond between them strengthened, and the legacy of Dionysian revelry took root in the hearts of many. The gentle wanderer was no longer exploring the lands for the sake of escape. Rather, he was paving the way for a world where joy, freedom, and harmony could thrive under his divine guidance. As Dionysus ventured through the lands of Thrace, he encountered regions that gazed skeptically at his teachings and way of bringing joy through wine and revelry. These lands, steeped in tradition and wary of change, watched with a guarded eye as Dionysus and his followers approached. In valleys and along riverbanks, Dionysus introduced the art of winemaking and the joyous celebrations that accompanied it. Yet, in some places, his message was met with doubt and resistance, for the people had yet to see the wonders of the god who walked amongst them. Among the skeptics was King Lycurgus of Thrace. Known for his strict adherence to old ways, Lycurgus was troubled by Dionysus's influence, perceiving the revelry as a threat to the austere traditions that maintained order in his realm. Sovereign and stern, Lycurgus did not welcome change lightly, or the raucous tumult he imagined would follow. As Dionysus continued spreading joy, the king's opposition grew firm, his eyes fixed on the divine wanderer and his entourage. King Lycurgus did not stop at mere disapproval. Intrigued by the tales of Dionysian rites yet determined to quell them, he set forth to capture Dionysus's followers, believing this act would disband their influence and foster control. They were seized and detained, their joyous spirits held in check by the king's decree. In the midst of these trials, Dionysus, though concerned, remained undisturbed, recognizing in this challenge an opportunity to demonstrate his divine nature. As the tension between Dionysus and Lycurgus escalated, the god of wine chose a riverbank to showcase the limits of mortal opposition. The sun hung high in the clear sky, casting a golden light across the rippling waters as Dionysus prepared a miracle that would establish his divine authority. Gathering the crowd of onlookers and the skeptical Lycurgus, he sought to turn doubt into wonder. In a moment both mystical and transformative, Dionysus stretched out his hand above the flowing river. With a serene assurance, water turned to wine, a vibrant crimson hue swelling through the clear currents. Awestruck by the manifestation of divine power, the crowd stood silent, their astonishment palpable. Even King Lycurgus found himself unable to refute the presence of something greater than comprehension or tradition, something that united celebration with a touch of the divine. Witnessing this miracle, the hearts of the people began to open, their skepticism giving way to acceptance. As Dionysus calmly proclaimed the importance of joy and wine in human existence, understanding blossomed. The fears dissipated, replaced by a sense of connection to the god who offered more than just indulgence. Dionysus offered an embrace of life's ebbs and flows, of revelry alongside reflection. Lycurgus, faced with this undeniable truth and the transformation in his people, softened his stance. He acknowledged that what he had once perceived as chaos held within it a harmony unknown to him before. This turning point solidified the place of wine and joy within the culture, entwining the vines of Dionysus's spirit deeply into the hearts of those who witnessed and partook in the miracle by faith. Riverbank.d. In this manner, Dionysus overcame opposition, not with wrath or force, but with gentle persuasion, born of miracles, and the truths they revealed. The path to acceptance often meanders through trials, and this triumph over challenges paved the way for his broader teachings to take root. The power of Dionysus extended beyond the delight derived from wine. It affirmed the significance of embracing one's passions and shared celebrations. Having gained the trust and admiration of the people, Dionysus's lessons further permeated the lands, resting as both tradition and belief. His triumph over Lycurgus became a story of reconciliation between the old and new, a testament to the enduring impact of mythic intervention. The riverbank did not merely witness a miracle. It bore witness to the union of divine with mortal life, inviting believers to embrace the unexpected joys it offered. With these events, Dionysus's journey continued, weaving through the threads of culture and tradition like a subtle, soothing hymn. The acceptance he garnered laid a foundation for future celebrations, enabling those who listened to find joy and connection in their lives, much like the god himself had found amidst the vines of Faun. Thrace, we find Dionysus, the joyful and mischievous god who has traveled far and wide, reaching the serene fields of Greece, land of myths and mortals. His journey has been one of acceptance and discovery, encountering skeptics and turning them into believers. Now, with a new chapter unfolding, his mission leads him to teach the sacred mysteries, the ecstatic rituals which connect mortals with the divine elation of the godly realm. Dionysus wandered through cities with a purpose more profound than mere travel. His presence was a gentle beacon, drawing communities toward him with an aura of irresistible celebration. As he moved from town to town, he shared the teachings of ecstatic dances, movements that were not random but carefully designed to awaken one's soul and forge connections with something greater. These dances, swirling and rhythmic under the moonlit sky, spoke the language of freedom and joy. Each movement and leap seemed to lift the spirits of those who joined, binding them to a shared chorus of celebration that mirrored the divine realm. The use of masks became central to the experience Dionysus imparted. These masks, crafted with care, symbolized the myriad faces and identities a single person could embody, both human and divine. In wearing them, individuals became free to explore aspects of themselves unexplored, their faces veiled, yet their hearts open. Beyond mere disguise, the masks allowed participants to step out of themselves and dance with a sense of divine freedom and anonymity, removed from the confines of societal roles. People discovered joy and liberation in this transformation, their laughter echoing beneath the starry canopy as they touched the outskirts of human experience. As communities embraced these new rites, they found catharsis and a pathway to deeper communication with the gods. What began as simple gatherings around flickering fires evolved into structured ceremonies, pulsating with energy and life. These rituals fortified Dionysus's teachings, fostering a spiritual tradition that transcended individual barriers, drawing people from all walks of life. Peasants and nobles alike found in this newfound faith a sense of equality and common purpose. The bounds of social hierarchy faded into the shadows, leaving behind a fellowship united by shared elation and belonging. Empowered by Dionysus's revelations, individuals rose to embrace their personal transformations. Stories of newfound courage and creativity blossomed among the followers, seemingly ordinary lives now touched by the divine spark. Dionysus's influence propelled them to transcend societal norms and restrictions, allowing them to seek fulfillment beyond the conventional confines laid out by mortal constraints. Freed from these structures, they found a haven in the ceremonies that expanded their thoughts and hearts. Soon, a devoted group of followers came to be known as Maenads. Theirs was a sisterhood of joyous worship and divine frenzy. These priestesses dedicated their lives to celebrating through ecstatic dance and song, an ever-present embodiment of the god's spirit. Whenever they gathered, communities knew that the night would unfold in vibrant colors, marked by celebration and divine encounters. Through the Maenads, the truth of Dionysus's teachings spread further, moving beyond the simple households and villages, and reaching new lands where stories of their joy echoed. Under the twilight sky, a wondrous dance unfolded in the open fields, the Maenads moving in synchrony, their bodies casting long shadows that danced alongside them in the firelight's glow. Masks adorned their faces, torches lit their way, and their voices sang the hymns of Dionysus, celebrating both the freedom he bestowed and the unity they discovered. The melding of voices and movement captured and illustrated the transcendent nature of the rites, a union of the human and the divine that could coexist only in such joyous symphony. As Dionysus observed the flourishing of his teachings, he smiled upon the lands and people who embraced his presence. The mysteries were no longer secrets shared in whispers but harmonious traditions, resonating through the valleys and hills. What began as a simple act of teaching led to the cultivation of a spiritual legacy that championed freedom, celebration, and transformative joy. The journey of Dionysus was marked by calm, enriched by endless possibilities. With each city that adopted his rites, he knew that his journey was still far from complete. The spread of Dionysian worship was only the beginning of his divine impact, foreshadowing further adventures and stories that awaited. With the rhythm of hearts united in dance and a symphony of joyous revelry rising to the sky, Dionysus continued onward, weaving threads of divine joy across every tapestry he touched, a thriving, gentle legacy of happiness and harmony. Dionysus, who had traveled far and wide, spreading joy and revelry through the lands, now found himself drawn back to Thebes. This city was of particular significance, being the birthplace of his mortal mother, Semele. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a dusky pink hue over the city gates, the atmosphere seemed rife with expectation. The cool breeze of winter whispered through olive branches, hinting at change. Dionysus stood at the gates, embodying both the warmth of familiarity and the cool mystery of the unknown. Those who saw him felt a blend of awe and nervousness, sensing the divine presence in their midst. Within the city, King Pentheus ruled with a strict hand, valuing order and discipline above all. He had heard of Dionysus' intentions and found them to be the antithesis of his rule. To Pentheus, the wine and revelry Dionysus promoted equated to chaos, something he had fought hard to suppress. The king's determination to maintain control set the stage for an inevitable confrontation. As word of Dionysus' arrival spread, a current of tension rippled through Thebes. Despite his subjects' whispered fears and curiosities, Pentheus hardened his heart against the charm of the returning god, resolved to oppose him steadfastly. As Dionysus entered the city, his presence was met with a spectrum of reactions. Some Thebans were drawn to his essence, feeling an inexplicable allure, while others were wary, conditioned by Pentheus' rigid command. Dionysus, observing the mix of emotions, maintained a serene composure. His purpose was not to sow discord, but to offer an alternative, to demonstrate that joy need not disrupt order, but could coexist with it, enhancing life rather than diminishing it. The god understood that his influence could not merely be wished into existence. It needed to be shown, experienced by those who remained skeptical under Pentheus' rule. Pentheus, curious yet cautious, decided to witness the rites of Dionysus himself. Concealed in draped robes, he slipped among the throngs drawn to the celebratory activities that Dionysus had initiated outside the city. The air was alive with the sound of music and laughter, an antithesis to the stern silence that often characterized his court. As the king looked on, he saw the Maenads, women who had embraced Dionysus' call, dancing in ecstatic unison, capturing the divine joy he so feared. The sight was mesmerizing and unsettling, as the seeming chaos unfolded with a grace and purpose he hadn't anticipated. Observing the scene from afar, Dionysus monitored Pentheus' reaction, noting the internal struggle writhing within the king's breast. It was a struggle familiar to Dionysus, reflecting the broader duality of human nature that he embodied both joyfully and peacefully. Pentheus was a man of logic, but as he watched the Maenads move, he felt an almost imperceptible shift within himself, a pulling, a questioning. The king's skepticism began to waver, challenged by the overwhelming sense of unity and freedom that Dionysus' presence encouraged. In this setting, Dionysus approached Pentheus not with hostility, but with compassion, honoring the human tendencies towards resistance and fear. He knew that the path to understanding was not one of force, but of revelation. Look upon them, Dionysus seemed to say through his very being, and see that they are not fragmented but whole, their joy a mirror to better comprehend their desires and fears. This gentle, unspoken message sank into Pentheus, interweaving itself with his doubts and convictions. Yet, the rigid confines of Pentheus' mind fought back, asserting that such rituals mocked the stability he valued. He resolved to learn more, to bridge this apparent chasm of belief with understanding, ensuring that his kingdom remained undisturbed by what he perceived as divine folly. Convinced of his righteous path, he determined to observe further, hoping to unravel the true nature of these rites. Though unsettled, Pentheus refused to yield completely, promising himself that his observations would lead to the reinforcement of his rule. Thus, Dionysus returned to Thebes, initiated an inner journey for both the city and its king. With each step Pentheus took towards the heart of the celebration, he edged closer to self-discovery. The tale of Thebes and Dionysus was more than just a clash. It was a stage where humanity and divinity interwove, creating a tapestry of dualities, ultimately to remind that within chaos often lies unexpected harmony. As dusk continued to deepen over the city, a quiet understanding hovered at the edges, suggesting that the true challenge was not an outward confrontation, but an inward awakening. The gates of Thebes stood firm yet felt subtly changed, as if aware of the fluid dance between order and chaos that had begun to unfold at their threshold. In the quiet of the Theban night, Dionysus's gentle call resonated in the air, inviting King Pentheus to witness the great revelry unfolding within the forest. The moon cast a soft glow upon the path, as Pentheus, drawn by a need to understand the divine mysteries, ventured into the woods. He longed to see for himself the exuberance that had taken hold of his city, the ecstatic dances and song that Dionysus had inspired. Standing on the outskirts of the celebration, concealed by layers of foliage, Pentheus observed with curiosity and disbelief the sight that lay before him. As the maenads whirled around, embraced by the warmth of the firelight and the rhythm of the night, Pentheus felt an unexpected stirring within him. The energy of the rites reached out, wrapping him in an inexplicable allure. Though his mind resisted, seeking order and control, his heart slowly surrendered to the Dionysian ecstasy. The intoxicating melodies and fervent movements of the celebrants permeated his being, casting a veil over the rigid structures he upheld. Dionysus's influence silently worked its charm, transforming Pentheus's initial skepticism into a visceral appreciation for the divine joy exhibited by his people. Under the full embrace of the divine rites, Pentheus's perception of reality began to waver, swirling between the shadowed dances and the light of his civilization's strictures. The boundary between what he knew as true and what Dionysus presented as divine experience blurred, resulting in a vivid, dreamlike ardor overtaking him. Pentheus found himself entranced by the otherworldly sights around him, senses heightened and guiding him deeper into a realm far removed from the rigid constructs of everyday Theban life. He strayed further into the heart of Dionysus's world, a place where the boundaries of perception gracefully dissolved. Amidst the thrumming heartbeats of the forest revelry, the maenads, bound in their sacred fever and devotion, perceived a presence among them. Their eyes, wide with an uncanny clarity bestowed by the god's influence, rested upon Pentheus. The fervor of the celebrations, the divine madness that both freed and bound them, mistook the king's form as that of a wild creature encroaching upon their sanctuary. In the thrall of their passion, they understood him as a threat to the sanctity of their rites, an intruder in the realm Dionysus had cultivated. The procession of the rites climaxed in an unanticipated fervor, the energy rising to a crescendo as the maenads surged forward. In an act present in the tapestry of fate, Pentheus was enveloped by their zeal, carried away on the tide of overwhelming emotion. The fabric of myth, weaving mortal action and divine intent, reached its tragic zenith. His identity lost to the tumult of ecstatic frenzy, Pentheus became an embodiment of the old world's clash with new divine paradigms. In this apex of Dionysian mystery, the king met his fated end, a sober testament to the gulf between mortality and the whims of the gods. In the stillness that followed, Dionysus, observing from beyond the shadows, mourned the outcome with a solemn understanding. Though the unfolding of events spoke to divine over mortal paths, His heart bore witness to the unfolding tragedy of a man caught between worlds. His soul reflected on the reminder Pentheus' story served, not as mere punishment, but as a demonstration of divine nature's power and the wisdom of yielding to its flow. Dionysus' presence lingered over the forest like a gentle, watchful guardian, ensuring the reverent calm would follow the storm. As the night folded into dawn, a sense of transformation stirred within Thebes, carrying whispers of change from the forests to the city walls. The rites had left their indelible mark on the land, a balanced testament between the joyous ecstasy of the divine and the sober reminders of mortality's fragility. Through the melding of joy and tragedy, Dionysus' teachings were etched into the hearts of those who bore witness, leaving Thebes both chastened and invigorated. The events of Pentheus' downfall stood as a sculptor's chisel against the consciousness of the city, a shaping tool refining understanding and acceptance. As Thebes settled into quiet introspection, the serene lessons of Dionysus lingered, a gentle echo of the night's teachings. With these reflections, the path lay ahead for the acceptance of rituals and a more harmonious intertwining of divine intent with mortal societies. In the gentle twilight following the events in Thebes, Dionysus felt a longing for reconnection with his past. A poignant yearning arose to reunite with his mortal mother, Semele, who had been taken from the world of the living in a moment of divine tragedy. Her loss, forever linked with his very birth, continued to echo in his heart, drawing him towards a resolution that had long been deferred. Dionysus, god of wine and revelry, now prepared for a journey that would test the depth of his affection and the strength of his resolve. Contemplating the path ahead, Dionysus recalled the stories and guidance passed down by Silenus, his jovial yet wise mentor. It was under Silenus' tutelage that Dionysus had learned not only the joys of life, but also the resilience needed to navigate the shadows. These lessons served him well as he resolved to venture into the realm of Hades, where few dared to tread. The decision was bolstered by whispers of hope, an inkling that, with divine favor, he could accomplish the seemingly impossible task of retrieving Semele from the depths. The Underworld, a realm shrouded in mystery and separation, presented a formidable challenge. Entry to this domain was not easily granted to mortals or gods. Persephone and Hades ruled with a harmony of balance and division, ensuring that the chasm between life and death remained inviolate. Dionysus, however, was not without means. His dual nature, born of mortal and god, provided a unique key, a passage granted through blood and divine will. Engaging in preparations for this momentous endeavor, Dionysus stood at the entrance to the Underworld, a gateway concealed in shadowed rock and trailing vines. Here, the stillness of winter added an eerie calm to his contemplation. Though the path was marked by a cool blue haze and a fading horizon, Dionysus was undeterred. He knew the journey would require courage and patience, both of which he had honed during his many travels on Earth. As the descent commenced, Dionysus found the silence of the underworld enveloping him, a stark contrast to the vibrant dances and sounds that defined his realms of influence. Yet in this quiet, introspection sharpened his focus, bringing clarity to his mission. Guided by subtle echoes of Silenus' teachings, he made his way through twisting passages, each step a solemn pledge to the memory of his mother and an unyielding promise to bridge the gap between loss and reunion. Navigating the sacred path, he encountered various guardians of the underworld, mythical figures bound to the protection of this somber domain. With the understanding of rites and a respectful demeanor, Dionysus paid homage to their roles, affirming the balance they maintained in the universe. It was not defiance but reverence that allowed him passage, recognizing the intricate dance between life and death that they orchestrated with precision. At the heart of the realm lay the rivers of the dead, foreboding yet necessary thresholds for any who sought to tread upon the grounds of the departed. Dionysus, buoyed by his divine aura, crossed these waters unscathed, for the waters themselves knew the truth of his mission and the sincerity of his heart. His presence, echoing both mortals and immortals, allowed him a grace that was neither boundless nor arrogant, but humbly determined. With the echoes of flowing waters behind him, Dionysus approached the court of Persephone, queen of the Underworld, who governed with wisdom and compassion. News of his arrival preceded him, carried by whispers through shadows. Her presence, noted for its blend of repose and insight, granted an audience to Dionysus, acknowledging the purpose and sacredness of his request. Thus, with resolve and humility, Dionysus stood at the precipice of his journey's culmination, awaiting permission to reclaim what was lost. The path between realms had revealed to him not only the depths of his own determination, but also the enduring power of love to transcend boundaries and reunite souls separated by fate and the will. Of the gods, Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry, stood resolute at the entrance to the underworld. The somber realm of shadows lay before him, a place where mortal footfalls ceased and eternal twilight reigned. Guided by memories of his jovial mentor Silenus, Dionysus gathered himself, ready to confront the mysteries contained within. Each step forward shimmered with the resolve born from a longing heart, a desire to reunite with his mother, Semele, whose untimely departure had left an indelible mark upon his spirit. As he ventured deeper, the surroundings grew dimmer, the air laced with whispers of souls long gone. Yet, Dionysus moved with purpose, his divine essence serving as a beacon of light that cut through the pervasive gloom. The rivers of forgetfulness and sorrow stretched before him, ancient barriers designed to thwart entry into the depths of Hades. It was here that mortal travelers usually faltered, hindered by the weight of oblivion. However, Dionysus, graced by his immortal nature, moved across the waters unscathed, his feet leaving an ethereal trail upon the shifting currents. Persephone, the queen of the underworld, awaited him beyond the rivers. Daughter of Zeus and Demeter, she possessed a beauty tinged with the wisdom of ages, her presence serene yet commanding. As Dionysus approached, the quietude of the realm deepened, and she regarded him with knowing eyes. Persephone, who understood loss intimately, listened as Dionysus expressed his wish, the desire to reunite with Semele, to bring the warmth of a mother's love back to the world above. With understanding born of shared pain, she consented, granting him the rare audience with the spirits. The fields of Elysium, a realm of whispered serenity, lay sprawled before Dionysus like a soft, eternal dawn. It was here that he found her, Semele, her form bathed in the gentle glow that adorned the blessed dead. As mother and son gazed upon each other, time seemed to fold, bleeding away the years of separation. Dionysus approached her, his heart swelling with the love that had been stifled by the winds of tragedy. Semele too moved forward, her countenance one of relief and profound joy. In that sacred moment, the realm whispered tales of old, of gods and mortals entwined in destiny's weave. Dionysus, standing before his mother, felt the harmonic blend of his mortal roots and divine heritage. Semele, the once mortal vessel of his birth, reached out, her touch an affirmation of everything Dionysus had become. Their reunion was not merely the closing of a circle, but the realization of a divine promise, one that spanned the mortal realm and the divine. As the mists of Elysium embraced them, Dionysus spoke softly of the world above, of the vineyards that flourished under his touch, and the joyous revelries that echoed in his name. Each word was an offering to the mother who never ceased to guide him, even from the shadows. Semele listened, comforted by the tales of her son's triumphs and struggles, a testament to the strength she had unknowingly imparted to him. The time came for their return, this conjunction of spirit and form destined to journey back into the world of light. Persephone stood as an empathetic witness, her own experiences woven into the fabric of this reunion. With quiet dignity, Semele took Dionysus's hand, her resolve solidified in her acceptance of this new chapter. Together they ascended from the shadowed landscape, the air gently shifting as they drew closer to the lands above. The dawn of a new day greeted them as they emerged, skies painted with hues of lavender and pearlescent whites. The world had awaited their return, infused with the promise of divine harmony and human love. In the embrace of dawn, Dionysus felt a renewed purpose, assured of the motherly acceptance that anchored him. This reunion was a bridge between past and present, between mortal frailty and divine eternity. As they gazed upon the awakening earth, Dionysus and Semele shared a moment of profound peace. In this union, both mother and son found solace, a powerful reminder that love, transcending both life and death, was the core of their being. Under the infinite canopy of Elysium, Dionysus stood with Semele, feeling a sense of completion as he prepared to depart the underworld. The journey had been symbolic, representing a reunion that transcended the boundaries of life and afterlife. With Persephone's grace, Semele's essence was transformed, preparing her not only to walk among the living again, but to ascend to the divine heights of Mount Olympus. As mother and son embraced once more, there was a reassuring promise. Their bond was now eternal, unshackled by the constraints of mortal existence. The path back to the world above was filled with a tranquil sense of purpose. Dionysus led Semele through the shadowed passages that gradually brightened with the glow of dawn, watching as her form shimmered with newfound divinity. Emerging into the mortal realm, the warmth of the earth's breath and the soft rustle of leaves welcomed them back. This return was significant, for it was not merely a crossing from one realm to another, but rather a heralding of a new chapter that would bridge their worlds, a symbol of life's cyclical nature. Their ascent to Olympus was graced with beauty unparalleled. The heavenly host awaited their arrival, with clouds parting like curtains of gossamer, revealing the Olympian halls resplendent in radiant light. Dionysus and Semele were greeted not just by family but by the collected pantheon, standing among those who weave the fabric of existence itself. The journey up Mount Olympus was both a literal and metaphorical rise, signifying an acceptance that Dionysus had yearned for throughout his legendary journey. Each step towards the halls of the gods resonated with harmony, the air saturated with the ethereal symphony of divine rejoicing. Here, nothing was profane. Even the simplest of gestures carried profound significance. Zeus himself stood as the grand orchestrator of this celestial symphony, his presence asserting the will of the cosmos that accepted Dionysus entirely. Beside him, Hestia's presence warmed the air, embodying the hearth's gentle glow that would nurture the reunified family. Dionysus, once a god of uncertain belonging, found his place amid the celestial dwellers. His experiences in the mortal world, filled with both trials and triumphs, had seasoned him for this very acceptance. Hera, though traditionally his adversary, regarded him with a gaze softened by ancient wisdom. With Semele sanctified by ambrosial transformation, Dionysus's acceptance signified a new era of divine unity, where his influence, marked by the gifts of wine, revelry, and ecstatic transformation, would enrich the annals of both gods and men. The birth of Dionysus from Zeus's thigh, so paradoxical and vibrant, had been a testament to his dual nature. Now, standing in the hallowed halls of Olympus, that duality found profound resonance. Half divine, half mortal, a perfect emblem of the intertwined destinies of gods and humans, celebrating not just the indulgence and pleasures, but the essential chaos that draws existence to balance. It was this balance that resonated through the halls, a harmony echoed in the very structure of Olympus itself. As the divine family gathered around, the embrace was one of acceptance and unity. Dionysus was now woven seamlessly into the Olympian fabric, his presence a testament to life's indomitable spirit and its myriad transformations. The god of wine, of theater, of joyous ritual stood among his celestial kindred, not as an outsider but as a beloved benefactor of divine harmony and celebration. This transformation, the crux of his journey, signaled the end of one quest and the beginning of another, as protector and reveler of those who worship at the feet of both chaos and delight. In each divine glance, in every nod of approval, the message was clear. Dionysus had found his sanctuary. Acceptance hung in the air, born of his deeds and his nature, gently enfolded in the arms of immortality. The very columns of Olympus, kissed by the radiant sun, stood as silent witnesses to this new harmony that Dionysus brought, a fusion of celestial and earthly essence, promising prosperity and revelry wherever his influence touched. As Dionysus basked in the warmth of acceptance, the sky opened up to infinite possibilities. Mount Olympus, with its brilliant eternal spring, was now a sanctuary where all aspects of Dionysus, joyful, mischievous, influential, could thrive. With Semele by his side and a place among the gods truly affirmed, the story of Dionysus transcended myth, whispering of the enduring human heart that beats within every legend. Together, with the harmony of gods and the blessings of a divinely elevated mortal, Dionysus and Semele stood poised to embark on this new chapter. Their story would continue to intertwine with that of humanity, a reminder that within every mortal's heart lies the potential for divine acceptance and the embrace of joyous transformation. In the gentle embrace of time, the world witnessed an unfolding tapestry of rituals and ceremonies inspired by Dionysus's gifts. Across the fertile plains of Greece and beyond, these ceremonies cultivated unity and tranquility, healing the hearts of people with their harmonious resonance. Under the bright expanse of the afternoon sky, Dionysian celebrations became vibrant festivals that bound communities together. The whispers of ancient rites, accompanied by the soft rustle of vine canopies, resonated through the valleys, creating a symphony of life that echoed Dionysus's divine essence. Amidst this canvas of celebration, new rituals emerged, honoring the connection between earth and the heavens. The people found solace and renewal in these gatherings, where the mundane and the mystical intertwined. Vines, heavy with the promise of abundance, curled gracefully over stone amphorae, symbolizing the bounty of Dionysus's gifts. The festivals, devoid of the clamor of fear or distress, served as sanctuaries where mortals could touch the divine. Under Dionysus's guidance, every shared cup of wine and every enthusiastic dance became a testament to the peace he spread. As the lands beneath the wide, sunlit sky embraced these divine celebrations, the spirit of communion spread like the vines themselves, reaching into the hearts of all who partook. These gatherings became occasions not only of revelry, but also of quiet introspection, as individuals connected to the wider rhythms of the universe. The teachings of Dionysus, rooted in the pleasures of wine and the joy of dance, merged seamlessly with the natural cycles of life, aligning human experiences with divine harmony. Dionysus, observing the flourishing of these traditions, felt gratification in the unity his rites nurtured. The transformation of communities, brought together not just by the wine but by a shared joy in life, spoke to the heart of his divine mission. This interconnectedness transcended mere celebration. It offered a profound reminder of the bonds between mortals and the gods. Through the movements of ecstatic dances and the wearing of symbolic masks, the participants found new expressions of identity, guided gently by Dionysian principles. Their connection to nature mirrored Dionysus's own journey from the vines, through the valleys, and onto the graceful slopes of Mount Olympus. His presence was infused in the very air of these celebrations, infusing them with an enchanting quality that endured beyond the transient moments of revelry. Thus, The rituals provided a path for mortals to express their passions while remaining tethered to the divine tapestry of creation. In these celebrations, the wounded collective soul of humanity found its balm. The legacy of Dionysus lay in his ability to weave joy into the fabric of existence, bringing a gentle unity to those who walk the earth. The blessings of the god of wine manifested as peace among the people and wisdom in the harmony between chaos and order. With each new ceremony that emerged, the influence of Dionysus bridged gaps that power alone could not, uniting warrior and poet, ruler and peasant. The rites themselves became a language of shared understanding, speaking of both timelessness and renewal. The vineyards that once bore silent witness to his teachings now vibrantly echoed stories of divine nurture and protection. In this way, Dionysus's impact on the collective soul molded the fabric of society, crafting an enduring legacy characterized by acceptance, joy, and harmony. The echoes of his journey resonated in every grape crushed under the sun, every dance step beneath the moonlit sky, and in every heart that embraced the divine harmony he embodied. Dionysus, content with the enduring unity he had fostered, now stood at a tranquil new chapter of his existence. The vibrant valley, adorned in the richness of sunlit yellows and lush greens, reflected his achievements back to him with radiant clarity. He saw that the path he had walked, from mortal beginnings to godly heights, had led to this exalted place of peace. Now, as the sun dipped lower, painting the valley in hues of gold, Dionysus prepared to retreat into timelessness, allowing the world to revel in the harmony he had sown. His immortal essence would forever be woven into the fabric of the world, echoing in the ebbs and flows of earthly and celestial tides. His journey, though reaching its peak, would continue through the dance of the cosmos, a gentle legacy perpetuating joy across generations. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting a warm orange glow across the valley, Dionysus stood upon the heights of Mount Olympus, reflecting on his journey. The gentle sway of the orchard trees, laden with ripe fruit, echoed the calmness now enveloping his spirit. Here in this eternally lit sanctuary, he felt the duality of his nature, both God and once mortal, reconcile into peace. His influence had spread far and wide, infusing the lands below with a reverence for the joyous chaos he brought. In every corner of Greece, the traditions he championed flourished. They were not merely celebrations of revelry and wine, but had evolved into rites of unity and transformation. Each gathering beneath the open sky became a tapestry, weaving together the passions of mortals and the divine grace he bestowed. Dionysus watched as communities embraced these moments. They drew solace and strength from the shared experiences, invoking their own rites of passage and renewal. Under his tutelage, wine was not just a drink, but a symbol of connection and the shedding of mundane burdens. Dionysus's life was a testament to the nature of harmony, found not in the absence of conflict, but within the vibrant complexity of existence. His followers, the Maenads and countless others, had embraced his teachings, understanding the wisdom hidden in ecstatic joy and frenzied dance. With each ritual, they conjured a mythical space where the divine was palpably present, where mortals and gods met upon equal ground. This divine symbiosis was his gift to mankind, granting them a glimpse into the potential of human and divine collaboration. His adventures from the verdant palaces of Boeotia to the sunlit vineyards of Thrace shaped the very earth, nurturing a lasting imprint. As he meandered through the world, Dionysus had encountered skepticism, transforming them into belief through the sheer presence of his divine energy. The trials he faced became mere echoes in the vast expanse of history, overshadowed by the prevailing peace he instilled. The tales of King Lycurgus and Pentheus were cautionary at their core, serving to illuminate the necessity of accepting life's tumult as a path to wisdom. In his serene musings, Dionysus recalled the sacred journey to the underworld, the reunion with his mother, Semele. That profound moment underscored the balance between loss and recovery, ultimately highlighting the strength found in vulnerability. Crossing the threshold of the shadowed realm only served to solidify his innate compassion towards those tethered to earthly trials. His divinity blessed them with the possibility of transcendence, inviting them to partake in the eternal tapestry of existence. Above all, this gentle deity understood the unspoken cycles of life, where the chaos of birth eventually gave way to the embrace of repose. As much as he was the vibrant force of celebration and change, he was also the quiet guardian of reflection and peace. This dichotomy symbolized the fullest expression of his godly domain, one he cherished as a bridge between Olympus and the earthly realm. On this quiet evening, enveloped by the soft peach hues of the sky, Dionysus scattered blessings as a light breeze scatters seeds. Each whisper of wind carried his reverence for life's intricate balance, joyful yet solemn, dynamic but soothing. Across time, his revered name wove through the voices encircling the festive fires and sleepy town squares alike, a tribute to the profound divine harmony he championed. Yet, amidst this peaceful reflection, Dionysus understood that his journey was eternal, as infinite as the heavens stretching overhead. The imprint of his divine revelry would unfurl with each new play of events, endless in variation but constant in its core of goodwill and unity. His parting gaze over the vast world was one of endless benevolence, savoring the perpetual dance of chaos and calm. In this harmonious convergence, the legacy of Dionysus found its eternal rest. With a final appreciative nod to the vast expanse of his domain, Dionysus stepped away from the edge of the orchard. The lessons he imparted lingered behind, enshrined in the lands that had become his home. Nestled in tranquility, Dionysus reflected on the lasting joy his presence bestowed upon the world. As the sun set into an infinite horizon, the journey of acceptance concluded, leaving a resonant peace that transcended beyond the tales of old.